It would be working fine now.
These days, they're just getting swept by the Angels every week.
You ain't never lied. You ain't never lied.
Now, live from the San Diego Sports 760 studios, we enter the Fletch Zone.
Oh, yeah, let's get it going on a Friday. What's going on, everybody? Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock. John and Jim will take over then, and this has been one of those weeks where Monday through Thursday, you're just waiting. You're knowing that something big is going to happen on Friday, but you're just waiting, and it's kind of torturous. It's a long week, but now we're here. Friday is finally here. Padres, Dodgers tonight up in Los Angeles. Going to get wild this weekend as those two teams face off. The two teams who are sitting atop the National League West. Padres 1 game up on the Dodgers. We'll see how this weekend goes. To help us break down that series, all-star lineup of guests today. David Vassegh, host of Dodger Talk on AM 570, is joining the show coming up at 12:30. And then at 1:34, his weekly appointment, Steve Hartman, is jumping on the air. We'll talk some Padres Dodgers with Steve. We'll talk some date night with Steve. We'll talk anything that Steve wants to talk. But we'll open up the show here. Hi, Sammy. What's going on?
What's up, dude? What's going on? Big weekend.
Big weekend. A cataclysmic weekend, I would say. Ginormous weekend. Going to be a lot of fun. Last night, we did go down to FanFest, checked out the Aztecs first scrimmage, where we got to see Jaden Denegal in his first reps as the Aztecs starting quarterback. I stayed for about 45 minutes of the game, maybe an hour. I did get a pizza, a slice of Zuh from the Great Pizza and Brew over there at Snapdragon Stadium, got a beer, and just sat down and kind of watched and took it in. And I was impressed by Jaden Denegal, who clearly, obviously, was named the starter earlier this week. The first pass attempt he threw was about a 12 to 15 yard out route to Jordan Napier. And I just was thinking, man, Aztec fans are going to hope to see a lot of that this year. Deshaun McEwen got a pick 6 off of Burt Emanuel Jr. So hopefully things are ramping up quickly. It was kind of hard to tell exactly what this Aztecs team was going to be based on what was happening last night, because it wasn't tackle, it wasn't full speed. But as they get going here, I'm pretty excited about 2 weeks from now when we get to see our first college football game of the season. Padres, Dodgers this weekend. This is going to be fun, man. Michael King going down right after we get off the air yesterday, Sammy, which was kind of a bummer. We couldn't react to that. And it's a bummer that Michael King went down. Completely separate injury from what put him on the IL for most of the season this year. But he's on the 15-day IL with a knee injury retroactive to the 11th. So he's got about a week left on this IL stint.
Both Dodger series.
Both Dodger series. Michael King won't be involved. What's important to know, though, is Michael King needs to be involved in the postseason push and the postseason for the Padres, because the starting rotation is really the last true question mark on this team. The lineup feels like it's been rounded out. You got a really nice bottom half of the lineup now after the trade deadline. The bullpen might be the best in baseball. In fact, most people would say it is the best in baseball. But the starting rotation with Michael King, with Yu Darvish, there are question marks. With Dylan Cease, there's still a question mark. He's had a couple nice starts, but is he going to revert back to who he was earlier in the year? So question marks surrounding the starting rotation. Is it going to be Randy Vassegh tonight on the mound?
I think, but it's like you can't. This goes back to the Mike Schilt discussion. You can't just rely on this pen every night, even though they are that stacked. That's a massive mistake, because we could be looking in the playoffs after you pitch these guys' arms off in like the theoretical giving it to, there was the 4 horsemen before you added Mason Miller. So all 5 of those guys, yes, if it's a 1-game scenario, you come in and shut down the game. But it does feel like if the one crack through all the Padres playing really well the last couple of weeks is it has felt like a lot of the time they have been just trying to get their starters through 3 or 4. And that can't happen every night in a playoff series. They're going to burn their arm out. They're going to get familiar with them. And you were kind of looking for tonight to see, Kershaw for the Dodgers has been so kind of up and down. He's either been fantastic and be able to go 5 to 6 innings, or he's really gotten blasted. And knowing that the Dodgers bullpen has really been struggling recently, especially with all the injuries piling up, you were kind of looking forward to getting to the bullpen early tonight. And maybe they still can, but now it seems like the Padres are probably going to be using the entire bullpen arms tonight. We'll see how long, if it's Vassegh, if he's going. There's been some thought of maybe they go with an opener and then put Vassegh in the second inning to kind of run through not the top 3 for the Dodgers. But yeah, it's going to be a hell of a game tonight. And this series is really going to come down to, we're going to see repercussions through what team has to use more of their bullpen tonight. That's going to have massive impacts for Saturday and Sunday.
And we'll see if it gets nasty. Dave Roberts is probably planning some stuff to get his team fired up. The quotes that's out in the media right now from Dave Roberts is that he said, quote, I wouldn't have expected us to be in second place right now. You know, he is echoing that in the clubhouse, in the locker room, as they get ready for this series, as they try to battle back into first place. Things could get nasty this weekend. I'm here for it, but let's keep the fights on the field, maybe not off the field, but we'll see what happens over the next 3 days. Going to be a lot of fun. All right, time for the big three, where Sammy Long takes us through the top stories in the world of sports every single day. Sammy Long, smash that button.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? Coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big Three.
Over on YouTube, our buddy Tyler checking in, saying, what up, Fletch Zone fam? What's going on, Tyler? Hope you have a good Friday, man. Have a great weekend as well. Rich jumping in, saying, remember, it was Vassegh who hit Ohtani in the game at Dodger Stadium in response to Tatis getting hit. He is up for the challenge. There's a little bad blood between these two teams. A lot of bad blood between manager and players. Between players and players, this is going to be a lot of fun. If you want to jump in on YouTube at San Diego Sports 760 is where you do it. And then on X at Fletch and Sammy, you can watch the show there. We would love subscriptions and follows and all of those fun things. Sammy, where are we starting?
So let's start with Dodgers Padres. Let's go head right to the pitchers. Michael King out tonight, looking like Randy Vassegh is going to go for it. What team has the pitching advantage in this series?
Game one, you're going to give it to the Dodgers if it's Kershaw versus Vassegh. Vassegh has pitched nice for the Padres this year.
He's been pretty good against the Dodgers, actually.
He's got fire to him. Now, he's not a strikeout pitcher. He's not an overpowering pitcher. He is a ground ball pitcher, and he gets a lot of them, but he's not going to go more than 4 or 5 innings. So the advantage in game one has to go to Kershaw. Advantage in game two is kind of a wash for me. It's Dylan Cease and Blake Snell. They're actually pretty similar pitchers. And then remind me the matchup in game three, Sammy.
Darvish against Glasnow.
That has to be advantage Dodgers. So overall, it's advantage Dodgers in the 3-game series.
Yeah, Saturday feels like it could be a wash. Maybe. I feel like Snell's going to pitch well against his former team, but Cease has been on fire recently.
Snell is a very mental pitcher. It could also backfire.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting because you're going to see Snell Saturday, and then looking ahead to next week, he's going to be in that first matchup at Petco on Friday night, which should be an absolute blast. Tonight does feel like I guess you give it to Kershaw. It feels like a little bit of a wash. I would give it to Kershaw, especially over Vassegh. But again, this is kind of Kershaw's been really up and down this season. He's either fantastic or you can get to him. You can usually tell from the first couple pitches. It's because he can't throw that 95 mile per hour fastball anymore. It's all about location for Kershaw. And we'll see. Fernando Tatis has really been able to take advantage of him in years past. Sunday definitely feels like Dodgers have a massive edge there with Glasnow over Darvish. But Dodgers have been 2-4 when Glasnow pitches. So we'll see if he gets a lot of run support there. All right, let's head to the NFL for story number 2. So this is interesting. And Fletch, I just sent you this. Matt Verdarme, who is actually used to be a Chiefs reporter and now is a national NFL reporter. Joey Bosa on a scrimmage between the Bears and the Bills today in a joint practice. Joey Bosa has a little bit of a late hit on Caleb Williams, and no Bear comes to his defense. Something to file away. What is the narrative? Do you think the narrative around Caleb Williams is fair? Like, it feels like he gets a lot of criticism just kind of off the field in general.
This was one of my problems with Caleb Williams and the Bears a year ago. He took a ton of sacks. Now, some of that was his fault. Some of that was that he held onto the ball too long. Some of it was that he had a pretty crappy offensive line. Here's the thing. Chicago has fixed the offensive line. They have spent on the offensive line to bring a new one in and hopefully protect Caleb Williams. Now, if you ask any former NFL offensive lineman, and I did send this question to Rich Ornberger asking for a little audio bite he could send us so we could play it back. He hasn't gotten back to me yet, but as soon as he does, we will. If you ask any offensive lineman, former, current, way gone in the past, what would you do in a joint practice if there was a late hit on your quarterback? Because a lot of times in these joint practices, quarterbacks aren't getting hit, period. And so if there's a late hit, maybe it was full contact, every offensive lineman to a man would say, we are going to kill that guy. And you are going to fight until someone breaks it up, until someone's literally pulling you off of him. Joey Bosa should have gotten his ass kicked. Now, we haven't seen the video of this. Who knows if this reporter is just kind of fishing out there. But we do know that last year in actual NFL games, Caleb Williams was getting hit and there was no one there to help him up. Offensive linemen weren't even coming back, not just to his defense of pushing a guy off of him, not even to help him off the ground. That says a lot about your quarterback. No one would ever let that fly with Tom Brady. No one would ever let that fly with Phillip Rivers, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. Doesn't matter. Name the quarterback. It would not fly. But for some reason it flies with Caleb Williams. I would almost lean to the fact that that's a Caleb Williams problem, not a Bears offensive line problem.
I would go Bears offensive line problem, and it's also a Bears in general culture building. This is a team that's never had a quarterback. Their best quarterback of all time might be Jay Cutler. That's insane to actually think about, but if you look at the stats, it could be him. Listen, obviously, the narrative around Caleb Williams is interesting because coming into the draft last year, he was the surefire number one pick. There was really no debate. He was kind of the golden child in college football. He was excellent when he got in Oklahoma in that game. The Red River rivalry came all the way back against Texas, down 4 touchdowns. Then at USC wins the Heisman. It was just like there was no criticism of Caleb Williams. He's a little prickly to the media. He's not exactly Mr. fan friendly in terms.
That's kind of what I'm saying. If the offensive line doesn't respect him, they're not going to stand up for him.
But at the same time, that is your quarterback.
Of course, it's their quarterback, but you got to earn that respect. And if he's just being put out there and the offensive line is telling you everything you need to know.
But the thing is that they brought in all these veterans to do that. They need to support their guy because he gets crushed in the media. I mean, the criticism around Caleb Williams is unfair. I mean, this guy he only threw 6 interceptions last year with the worst offensive line in one of the history of football. I mean, like, that offensive line was pathetic. He got pressured at a rate above anyone else. I know he had the weapons. We probably got too high on him last year. And then the criticism has really rolled in because after Jaden Daniels has an excellent year, Bo Nix looks good. Drake May looks like he has a lot of potential. But this is a guy, yes, the stars are aligning. He's got an offensive-minded head coach. He's got an offensive line now. He's got a defensive line. So it is on Caleb. He has to produce this year. But I do feel like remember that Thanksgiving game against Detroit? He comes back down 3 touchdowns. This is a Bears problem that Matt Eberflus, they hired a defensive-minded head coach for a young rookie quarterback. No other organization in the league does that. That's only a Bears thing. I'm excited for Caleb this year. I hope this team sticks up for him. Being a big USC football fan my whole life, I pull for Caleb Williams, but we'll see. If the show's on him, we'll see if this is real in terms of his team not defending him, but I'm pulling for Caleb. All right, UFC 319. Dricus Du Plessis fighting Khamzat Chimaev on Saturday night at the United Center in Chicago. We're winding down on the amount of pay-per-views we're gonna have to do for the UFC. It's gonna be
3 to 4 left, I think, total.
Yep. So the line right now, Khamzat Chimaev is a -260 favorite. Du Plessis is +210. Are you leaning any way on this fight, Fletch?
I like the plus money a lot. I listened to a full podcast preview of this fight yesterday, and what they were saying, it's guys who have been former champs in the UFC and have been around for a long time, and they were kind of talking about Du Plessis, and they said the one thing he will have is the conditioning over Khamzat, because he will get to the 3rd and 4th round. Khamzat, fights are always done by the 3rd round. He usually submits people pretty early. And in multiple of his last fights, he just kind of stands around waiting for the guy to make a move, and then he pounces. So he doesn't really expend a lot of energy. Du Plessis is going to force him to expend a lot of energy early in this fight. So if you believe that Khamzat isn't just going to be able to take him out right away, then the nice money, if this gets into the 4th or 5th round, is going to be on Du Plessis. The other thing I was reading up on is Du Plessis has this narrative around him that he is just a striker, a pure striker. Not true. He started when he was 10 years old in judo, and then he became a state champion wrestler. Like, this dude has a background in wrestling, but he's become a striker out of necessity once he got in. I like Du Plessis to win this thing, which feels very wrong because every time I've seen Khamzat fight, I feel like he's unbeatable. But this is going to be a fun one, man. This is about even a main card we've had in a while.
I'm definitely pulling for Du Plessis. I've never been a Khamzat guy. I mean, he's fantastic. He's never, in those last 5 fights, the farthest he's gone is the 3rd round. So to that end, people are questioning his conditioning. Du Plessis has been labeled as a striker, as you mentioned, but it's really because of the guys he's fought. He's fought Sean Strickland twice and Israel Adesanya, both guys who are on the feet. Sean Strickland does a Philly shell, which is the famous Floyd Mayweather where he tucks his shoulder and you can't hit him. That's kind of what he does. He implements a serious boxing style in the UFC. Israel Adesanya is the same way. He has a lot of length, jabbing from the distance, a lot of combinations. Throws a lot more combos, 7, 9, 11 punch combinations versus a lot of UFC fighters who only do 3 and 5. So I think Du Plessis is going to get to change it tonight, or change it on Saturday night. But yeah, it's got to go late. Khamzat's going to try to submit him early. If Du Plessis is not great getting up from the stance, so he can't get down, but he is a stable fighter. He's got to test the conditioning. Yeah, if you like Du Plessis, it's a good line.
Can you stack bets? Can you go for the fight to finish in the 5th round and also put money on Du Plessis?
Yeah.
I would stack that bet.
So you think he gets a KO? So yeah, if Du Plessis is going to win
KO in the 5th round.
Okay, I like that. That's good money right there.
I think so too.
He's plus 215 on the money line.
Can we go to Vegas like right now and not?
If you think he's
Wednesday?
going to get a KO, he's plus 550.
KO in the 5th round. Get specific with it.
Wow. Okay.
If that happens, I'm gonna look so cool on Monday.
My fight predictions coming in long shots at 12:45.
Right, we're gonna take a quick break here. Coming up next, let's get back into the Padres-Dodgers series ahead of bringing on David Vassegh. I know no one's gonna want to hear from Vassegh, but I really like the guy. Can't wait to chat with him. That's next. San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. It's Fletch for Gary Cooper over at Mountain Trust Mortgage and Realty. Give Gary a call today at 858-376-1299 because from what I hear, Gary, you got a pretty good opportunity for people.
I do. It's actually a lot of land, and it's located on Elena Lane in Vista, and it's definitely a must-see lot at the end of a cul-de-sac with plenty of space to build. The seller already has a soil study, surveyor, topography map, grading plans for a 2,000 square foot manufactured main home with a 2-car detached garage, and there's room for a 1,200 square foot ADU. Sewers in the street and ready for lateral hookup. Property already has a water meter on it. Gas utilities are at the property line. And there, even on the street, you can see the visual spray paint on the street with the markings outlining all the utilities locations. So this is like a really good lot. It's already pretty flat and it's ready to be built on. And we're offering it at $316,000.
Find it online today at mountaintrustrealty.com or give Gary Cooper a call, 858-376-1299, and tell him that Fletch sent you. San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock. And by the way, this Sunday, SDFC back on the pitch. They're playing at San Jose. You can hear the match live Sunday afternoon, beginning at 3:30 right here on San Diego Sports 760, your home for SDFC. Sammy, got a big weekend coming up as the San Diego Padres take on the Los Angeles Dodgers in a battle for top supremacy in the National League West. Our buddy Jim Rome, who I don't know if you know, like I interviewed with Jim Rome for my first job in sports, didn't get the job. That's how I ended up here. Very happy that that's the way things worked out. But Jim Rome, for years, has talked about how his license plate is Dodger Jim on one of his cars that he keeps. Today, Jim Rome announced that he has switched his license plate from Dodger Jim to Angel Jim, because of the beatdown that the Angels have given the Dodgers so far in 2025. And I think Padre fans are feeling the same way. All of a sudden, Padre fans are Angel fans out here in San Diego because of the way the Angels have just handed the Dodgers their money the entire season. What is it 6-0 or 7-0?
7-0.
7-0 against the Dodgers this year. The Angels are, and that's helped the Padres get into this situation. Now the Padres have won 14 of their last 17, but the help that they got from the Angels puts them one game up on the Dodgers heading into this weekend series. Look, it's a big deal, man. Obviously, the Padres got bad news yesterday with Michael King, but if they can keep rolling on, what everyone remembers is that Michael King hasn't been here for the last, 4 months.
Do they need Michael King to win a World Series?
I think so, but they don't need him right now. They don't need him to win this series.
Well, yeah, I agree with that.
You need starting rotation depth in the postseason. Right now, you don't. It's the next 3 games.
He has to be there for them to win a World Series in this sense. It's one thing to rely on, like they're going to be playing the Rockies in a couple series and the White Sox. You can run through just on talent on these things. When you get to the playoffs, especially with how stacked the NL is, I mean, you can make a case for literally about 5 to 6 teams to win the World Series. People wouldn't call you crazy on the NL. I mean, the NL is that loaded. It feels like this is the most loaded bracket we've seen in years versus a lot of years. It's like maybe 1 or 2 or 3 teams, but this year is absolutely stacked. You're going to need them to give you some length in the lineup to get to that bullpen. And Michael King has been great when he's been here. He was kind of looking to be one of the aces of the rotation. If Michael King can't be there, it makes that Sunday game against Darvish even more interesting because Darvish has to get back to where he was. If they're gonna win a World Series and King's not gonna be a part of it, or if he's injured, obviously it's only a 15-day IL right now, but it's a little concerning that
he was last time too.
Right, and he just came back, and it's knee inflammation this time, so it's not shoulder inflammation, but that's concerning. I'm just curious. In this series specifically, it's so fun that we're getting like a feeling like a postseason atmosphere experience in the middle of August, because that just usually doesn't happen. I mean, this weekend, then that next weekend. I mean, it's absolutely money. Remember, the Padres got to go 5-1 against the Dodgers to own a tiebreaker. So you're thinking you got to get a sweep. You have to sweep one of these series, or you have to go 2 or 3 to give yourself a real chance back at Petco to sweep it. But this is gonna be electric.
And we could look all day on the positive side and think about, if you go in and win this series, well, you're just stretching out your lead over the Dodgers. And if you go have a really good week next week against the Giants, who are struggling and who can't hit, and against the Dodgers again, you're just stretching out your lead over the Dodgers. You have a real opportunity here, but so do the Dodgers. And you don't want this last 14 of 17 games to be a total waste, because that's what it would feel like. Like, you feel like the Padres are in good position to nail the wild card spot no matter what. They could kind of play average baseball from here on out and still,
especially at the easiest schedule remaining after this week, and then the Dodgers have the second easiest schedule remaining.
But is that good enough for you? I personally, for me, no, it's not.
Well, and
you've worked yourself to this point, might as well finish the job.
And you feel like you smell a little blood in the water. The Dodgers beat the Padres in the playoffs last season. They went 5-2 against them earlier this year. The changes. The Dodgers are obviously flailing right now. If you go up the road to the ravine and lay a clunker and they win the series, I mean, that's the kind of, not saying they can't win the division, because they certainly can. It just, if a sweep either way, you can both these teams can win the division anytime. But that would be a real kind of let the wind out of the sails after the amount of momentum has come over the last couple of weeks. It's like you get to play them. You get to play them in a meaningful spot where you're not 6 games back, where you're going to need to sweep them over both series. It's in a legit spot where you have a lead on the division. Go out there and prove it and show why you're not just kind of the same old Padres team, but a different team to be reckoned with.
I agree. It's going to be fun, man. Coming up next, we're going to chat with David Vassegh. He hosts Dodger Talk after every Dodger game over on AM 570 up in LA. We're going to chat with David Vassegh. Preview this series coming up next at San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
The sport's sponsored by the Jim Buttrell Real Estate Team. Padres, Dodgers getting going from Los Angeles tonight at 7:10. Clayton Kershaw will be on the mound for the Dodgers, while Michael King was expected to go for the Padres, but got put on the 15-day IL, retroactive to the 11th. So they're likely going to go with Randy Vassegh or an opener. Upside down in your home, but you need to sell it. Jim Buttrell knows how to sell your home, wipe away your debt, and it won't cost you a dime. Go to jimcanhelp.com. Wipe away the debt. No cost to you. Go to jimcanhelp.com. DRE 011444905.
San Diego Sports 760. It's the Fletch Zone. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock today. John and Jim will take over then. And right now, welcoming on to the show, the host of Dodger Talk, David Vassegh, up on AM 570 in LA. And David, you work in Los Angeles, and how about that? The best team in Los Angeles baseball, the Angels, playing some really good ball right now, don't you think?
The Angels are in Los Angeles. I didn't know Anaheim was part of LA County.
It's all the same. Orange County, LA County, it's all similar.
Oh, no, it's not. Maybe to you in Pacific Beach and El Cajon, but not up here.
Are they not the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim?
That's in name only. It's kind of like your cousin. Only your cousin in name only.
David, how are you doing, my friend? How's life up there?
It's great. Beautiful weather, great city. You know, we have a good thing going up here, and it's going to be even sweeter this weekend when the Dodgers remind the Padres who their daddy is.
Who their daddy is. All right. Well, David, let's start there. Obviously, a pretty big series coming up. Is Dave Roberts getting a little, I don't know, fired up with his dugout, with his clubhouse, trying to put some bulletin board material up there for the Padres, who are one game up in the division heading into this series?
I don't think so. Honestly, it's just about the Dodgers focusing on themselves and feeling uncomfortable and having some urgency. You know, once they had that 9-game lead over the Padres on July 3rd, the Padres are going in a different direction. They were just hoping to hang in there to give A.J. Preller a reason to add at the trade deadline. They obviously did, and all of a sudden their lineup's deeper, their bullpen's even deeper, and the Dodgers have struggled to play defense consistently, hit consistently, pitch consistently, and have had still a lot of injuries. We keep hearing from the Dodgers side of things how we're waiting for these guys. Once we get these guys back, that just hasn't materialized. And, you know, for those that are just making these general statements about the Dodgers this weekend, oh, all of a sudden now they're going to turn it on. Yeah, they might, but they're still going to be without Tanner Scott, without Kirby Yates, without Michael Kopech. And there's a real possibility they may be without Max Muncy for this series because he tweaked his right side again when he was swinging in the cage before Wednesday night's game. So they may be without Max Muncy for this series and maybe even next weekend in San Diego. So, you know, you could use all the hyperbole you want. You're not going to wave a magic wand and those guys be in uniform tonight.
David, you mentioned the bullpen injuries for the Dodgers. Alex Vassegh has kind of been the closer recently, but he struggled the last week or two. Would it be Vassegh if the Dodgers are going into a closing situation, or is there kind of a revolving door there right now?
Yeah, there's a revolving door, and part of the issues with the Dodgers not being able to get the last 6 outs is Blake Trinan. Ever since he came off the IL, has been very rusty. He showed signs that he might be back in one of those games in Anaheim, the middle game in Anaheim, but it's basically been matched up base for the Dodgers in the 8th and 9th innings. And if Blake Trinan, if there's a save situation tonight and you got the heart of the Padres order coming up in the 8th or 9th inning, I could see Blake Trinan being that guy in the 9th inning. And, you know, Vassegh is still being used in different forms of leverage in the 7th or 8th innings tonight.
Dodgers, Padres this weekend. They get going tonight. Randy Vassegh most likely going to be on the mound for the Padres. Clayton Kershaw for the Dodgers. David Vassegh from AM 570 joining us right now. He's the host of Dodger Talk. Clayton Kershaw has been interesting this year. And David, I've been honest about it. Clayton Kershaw is the best pitcher of my lifetime, the best pitcher of the last 30 years. But how has he been this year for Padre fans who haven't really gotten a good look at him? Clayton Kershaw in 2025, what should we be worried about tonight if you're a Padres fan?
He's a pitcher. And in this day and age of slug and guys trying to launch, he exploits that. And what makes Kershaw still as great as he has been, he's 6-2 this year with an ERA just over 3. He still finds a way to outcompete everybody. Whoever's stepping into that batter's box, he is still very stubborn and is going to compete his way to win every battle. And what makes him tangibly still very good is that the arm slots, the tunneling of where the pitches are coming out of still confuses hitters. He still has that knack of making pitches look the same, whether it's his fastball, whether it's slider, whether it's the slider that's a curveball or a split finger changeup now, curveball, obviously. All those things are very deceptive still, and that's what's allowed him to be very good for the Dodgers this year.
David, I know a lot of Dodger fans are really frustrated with Michael Conforto and Alex Call, who they brought over from the Nationals. If Max Muncy's out, who do you think has to step up at the back end of the hitting order for the Dodgers?
Yeah, that's a great question. They don't have anybody to fill Max Muncy's shoes. And that was evident while he was out for a month. Their offense just stalled out. And I know it's hard to believe when you have guys like Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman, but Max Muncy is the real glue of this Dodger lineup because he sees a lot of pitches. He makes the opposing starter work. He's a threat to hit a home run. He walks when he needs to walk and doesn't chase and give away easy outs. And now he's turned into a guy that will line a single to right field. So without him, there is nobody that can fill his shoes. He's very unique to this lineup, and it's a big blow to the Dodger offense again if he's not able to play in this series.
For years, David, Mookie Betts has just been consistent, high average, near 300, hits a lot of home runs, is excellent in the field. Mookie Betts with a down year, I believe his average is in the 240s, I think, on the year. What's wrong with Mookie Betts, and are the Dodgers expecting him to get back to form, or are they expecting to have to do this thing without him this year?
Yeah, it's been exhausting to figure out what's going on with Mookie Betts. It doesn't just drop off this drastically after, such a great career. I really don't know. I know he worked with JD Martinez when the team was in Florida. That's where JD lives. Try to take a hitch out of his swing. It seems like it's worked. Dodger Stadium fans responded to my tweet to give him a standing ovation. Since then, he's hit 350 in his last 34 at bats. So he has played much better in the last week, but just still doesn't have that power. And I don't know whether or not that's a sign of things to come, if this is the beginning of him not being that type of power hitter, but he still needs to pass the baton and move the line, and he's done a pretty good job of that in the last handful of games.
David Vassegh, that was very Steve Hartman of you. You just took credit for Mookie Betts turning it around on the field. I don't know if you did that.
I did. I sent out a tweet. I asked for a standing ovation a la Trey Turner in Philly, and the fans responded. Whether he wants to acknowledge it or not, that's the facts, Jack.
Most powerful man in LA. David, on your opinion, do you think the Dodgers took a lot of criticism from only getting Brock Stewart, Alex Call at the deadline, kind of thinking they're just going to get a lot of arms back? Do you think that was a massive mistake, or do you still think they're relying on just the arms coming back?
No, I don't think it was a mistake at all. Look, you can criticize Andrew Friedman for the offseason signings of Conforto, Yates, Scott, and even if you want to go as far as to say re-sign Teoscar Hernandez, even though that would be a quarterback armchair move, you can do that. But who is out there that you were going to trade one of your top 5 prospects for? I'm very much for trading prospects to help your team win now. But there's guys that could be had this offseason to be able to trade that prospect capital for. Tanner Scott hasn't been the Tanner Scott you guys saw in San Diego last year for whatever reason. Kirby Yates was a risky signing. Michael Conforto, I mean, who else was going to pay him $17 million even for 1 year? You can poke holes in that, but I don't think you can poke holes in what he did or didn't do at the trade deadline, because these guys at some point have to take accountability for not performing the way that they have in their careers. I don't think you could point the finger at Andrew Friedman for that.
David, I know this is kind of just easy for a San Diego sports talk guy to poke at this story, and I am a fan of Shohei Ohtani. I hate that he's on the Dodgers, but I think the dude's amazing. But are the Dodgers concerned about who he's surrounding himself with? Because, my God, can he go more than 6 months without stepping into something else? And it seems like it is people around him who are getting him into bad situations.
Yeah, well, that's Shohei Ohtani's issue, right? Look, I thought it was a headline grabber when everywhere you turn on social media and online, they were calling whatever is going on with his real estate deal in Hawaii a scandal. How is it a scandal? It was just a real estate deal that went bad, a disagreement. Now there's a lawsuit, and the people that are suing Ohtani obviously want to get the court of public opinion on their side and even embarrass Ohtani and his people. So it's not a scandal. It's not anything close to what took place with Ippei a year ago. So yeah, it's it obviously hasn't affected him on the field. He's one of the best at compartmentalizing things. So to me, that's not even an issue.
In the early series this year, obviously we saw a lot of
Sammy. It's like Sammy when he tries to purchase those La Jolla mansions and he backs out at the last second. Is that a scandal?
Sammy wears $500 shirts, David. I don't even know where he gets the money from. I know we're not paying him that much.
Yeah. What if he returns it without the tag on it? Is that a scandal?
I would say yes.
Hey, as long as it's successful. David, obviously we saw a lot earlier this year with the hitting back and forth. What are you expecting tonight in terms of, are we going to see some retaliation from both sides, or do you think that's kind of passed now that the division's so tight?
Well, if you remember the guys that hit Fernando Tatis Jr., they were named Lou Trevino and Matt Sauer. Those two guys are no longer on the active roster. I have a pretty good feeling Blake Snell and Clayton Kershaw can command their pitches inside, but they are not going to deviate from that game plan. Every team pitches Fernando Tatis Jr. inside. The Dodgers are not going to change their game plan just because Mike Schilt had a temper tantrum the last time these two teams saw each other.
David, who wins this series? And is it a sweep or is it 2-1?
I'm going to reserve my constitutional right.
That means
to
Padres.
abstain from prediction.
That means Padres. Padres 2-1 or Padres sweep. Say you're taking the Fifth Amendment again. If you think it's a sweep, just be totally quiet. If you think it's 2-1,
it will not be a sweep. Neither team is going to sweep the other. The Dodgers are not going to be swept in back-to-back series. I can guarantee that.
David, appreciate the hell out of you, man. Maybe we do this again next week when these two teams face off once again, this time in San Diego. Appreciate you, David.
Well, maybe if you clean up your scandals, Sammy, maybe I'll do it.
Yeah, you can go over to Sammy's La Jolla mansion that he just purchased. David,
exactly. We'll do it there.
David Vassegh, AM 570 up in LA. He's the host of Dodger Talk. Appreciate his time as much as it may piss some people off. David's a good dude, believe it or not. He just works at the wrong radio station.
David's the man, dude.
I do.
How did he know about my La Jolla mansions?
I know. That's it's in the works right now. Sammy's signing paperwork. He called Gary Cooper. It's all almost done.
Listen,
$500 shirts, $15 million house.
People going after, listen, you can go after Ohtani for a lot of stuff, but that thing, listen, I would be a business shark too if I was making $700 million a year.
Well, the more I read into it, the more I realized, they are just riding the coattails of the Ippei Mitsuhara drama and using Ohtani's name as look how bad of a guy this is. It is ridiculous. It is headline grabby. It's also a lot of fun to make fun of. And I do have questions about who Shohei Ohtani decides to keep around him. He's making mistakes, man. He needs to clean this thing up. If you want to be one of the richest athletes in American sports history, take a page out of LeBron's book. He's never really involved in scandals. People don't like LeBron's politics, but has LeBron ever been caught cheating? Has LeBron ever been caught doing anything unsavory? No, the worst thing LeBron's ever done is great. He builds a bunch of schools in Akron, Ohio. So I take a page out of that book. If you want to be in that ilk, you got to stop surrounding yourself with criminals or people who are going to get sued for this type of stuff.
I'm so excited for this series tonight. I'm just it's so fun. Postseason baseball, there's
the problem with what David said is Fernando Tatis Jr. and Shohei Ohtani are both still on these teams. Someone's getting hit tonight or tomorrow night.
And to David's point, and this is true, this goes the other way with Ohtani as well as Fernando. If you give either guy a elevated fastball across the plate, it's good as gone. Just it's over. So to do that,
you have to pitch him inside.
You have to pitch him inside unless you have a fantastic curveball that's painting the side of the zone. So you take two teams that do not like each other, two fan bases that do not like each other, and then the stars are all there. Obviously, Machado used to play for the Dodgers. There is a lot of storylines here. I'm curious with Snell on Saturday night if we see if the Padres are friendly with him or if that's.
I do think they all loved him when he was here. I think he fit in well when he was here, but he's such a head case when he pitches, man. I don't know, Blake Snell can be got to, so we'll see. All right, it's San Diego Sports 760. You're listening live on the iHeartRadio app. That was David Vassegh. Coming up in hour number 2, we have Steve Hartman on the show. It's going to be like, I feel like we kept it classy with David this time, and David kept it classy with us. He definitely thinks the Padres are winning this series. I don't know if you heard that too, Sammy.
He pled the fifth.
If he would have thought the Dodgers were winning this thing 2-1 or sweeping it, he would have just been parading around. He thinks the Padres are winning this series. We'll see what Steve thinks coming up in hour number 2. But coming up next, time for long shots. Sammy Long's going to make us all some money. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. About a quick little shout out to the Navy here on a Friday. Love the Navy here in San Diego, but the USS Carl Vinson returned yesterday to San Diego after the Navy said it faced threats overseas on a 9-month deployment. That is one of the coolest sights when you see that ship come in and all the Navy men and women who are standing up on the sides, kind of bordering around the ship. It was an awesome sight yesterday to see. And congratulations to all those guys for getting home safely. Love our Navy here in San Diego. Love our whole military every single day. Appreciate the hell out of them and what they do. 9 months in the Middle East. Crazy. Welcome home, boys and girls.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Thank you
sir.
for your service. Appreciate you every single day. All right, we are going to get to long shots here in just a second. Sammy, how did we do last night?
We don't really need to talk about last night. We're always talking about the future.
Moving forward.
And today,
now this is kind of our last couple of warm-ups before we go to Vegas. I'll be honest, Sammy, it's not been super encourage as we get ready to go to Vegas.
Hold on, first off, explain table game is a whole different thing. I'm a beast at craps. I feel it in my, it's like injected in my veins. Craps, number one. Number two, we're betting money lines out in Vegas.
Can you give me a
futures
30-second instructions on craps?
30 seconds?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, how do you get in? Because you got to do the pass line before you can actually get in.
It's 30 seconds is hard, but we're gonna do this quick. Basically, there's someone who's rolling. Don't laugh. It's called the come line. That's the come bet. That's the one.
COME.
Exactly. That's the best bet in Vegas. You actually have good odds. So basically, on the first roll, you want to roll a 7. Everyone wins at the table. Once you roll, let's say I roll a 9. That's the point. So if I roll another 9, everyone at the table wins. Maybe you have a side bet. You go, I got money on 10. I think Sammy's going to roll a 4. So if I roll a 4, then you're only getting paid on that. And then if I roll 7, though, the entire stack gets pulled out.
So you want to roll a 7, then you don't want to roll a 7.
Yeah, you want to roll a 7 on the first one, and then you do not want to roll a 7 again. You'll keep going. I've seen someone play at a table for 30 straight minutes without crapping out, not rolling a 7.
That makes a lot of money for everybody involved. Squad ride W's.
Squad ride W.
Feels like craps is the ultimate squad ride W, like long shots used to be. But today we're getting it back.
Whoa.
This weekend, we got any preseason football in it?
I did not include preseason football.
Okay, but there's going to be UFC 319.
There's going to be UFC 319.
There's going to be some tennis, maybe.
There is a tennis.
There might be some baseball.
I stay away
Padres
from,
Dodgers.
No, you know why I stay away from Padres Dodgers? Because I just want to watch the game, and I don't really want to be like, I need this guy to get 3 strikeouts, or I need this guy to get a hit. I didn't want to mess with all that.
Well, let's stop wasting time. Let's give the people what they want. It's time for long shots.
Let's see. Underdogs? Nah, that's old. Those with a less than good chance of winning? Too wordy. Wait, he's all big time now, huh? It's time for Sammy's Long Shots. Hold on. Can't talk until I say the important stuff. Long Shots is presented by Circa Million and Circa Survivor. Now, go.
Sammy, you want to tell everyone what Circa Survivor and Circa Millions are? Because we're going next week.
It's the best.
We're participating.
Okay, your last day to sign up, I believe, is September 12th. $1,000 to enter both. Circa Million, all you got to do is you pick 5 games against the spread each week over the full season. There's up to $15 million in guaranteed prizes. And Circa Survivor is like a traditional Survivor League, except now you're playing professionally, you're playing real. Last year, I believe they had 3 groups of people down to the final week, all with different picks. The Survivor League, you can pick one team each week. If let's say you pick the Bills, then and they win, you can't pick the Bills again the rest of the season. So you kind of got to strategize and maybe pick some games that might be a little more risky to burn some of your worst teams early. We're going to be playing. We're going to be signing up next week. We're very excited. All right,
can't wait.
We got big UFC parlay here. Actually, let me start with tennis, and then we're going to get to UFC. Alexander Zverev is playing Ben Shelton. Ben Shelton's the American. He's a fun player. He talks a lot. He's very good for the game. Zverev's interesting though. Zverev's constantly been in that number 3, number 4, number 5 ranked tournaments players in the world, but he can't get over the hump. He's lost to Djokovic a couple times. He lost in the final at Wimbledon. He's never been able to beat the top players. He beats everyone else. He has trouble against Alcaraz. He's trouble against Sinner. Who doesn't? But Ben Shelton is a fun matchup. We're going to go 24.5 total games. We're going to go more than. I think this goes to a 5th set. I think both players are very talented, very evenly matched, and Ben Shelton can press Zverev, though I do think Zverev wins it in the 5th set. So we're going to go more than 24.5 total games for Zverev and Ben Shelton. 2 weeks, a week and a half, we have the U.S. Open, which will be very exciting coming to America. All right, let's go to UFC 319. Very excited for this fight night. So let's start with the co-main events. Let's work our way up. So earlier on the card, Michael.
Not to completely derail you, but did you just say the U.S. Open is coming to America?
Yeah, shut up.
Working. I'm sorry. Wouldn't it always be in America? It's the
Are
US
we up
Open.
against the clock and you're interrupting with
I'm
this?
sorry. MMA.
People are trying to win money and you're interrupting with that.
UFC 319.
Michael Page, Jared Cannonier. Earlier fight on the card. This might be the most fan-friendly fight on the card. These guys only strike. There's not going to be a lot of wrestling. Michael Page is a minus 190 favorite. We're going to go 79.5 significant strikes combo more than. The dirty little secret here is a lot of people think this fight's gonna end early. Michael Page's last couple fights has gone the distance, has gone all 3 rounds to the end. Cannonier in 4 of his last 5 fights have gone to the distance. So even though they're both strikers, they don't quite have it's more volume punching more than straight power. I also think they're going to feel each other out for the first round. So we're going to go 79.5 significant strikes, and it's going to go the distance. So we're going to have ample of opportunity to get this.
They're going to feel each other out. What's next?
All right, Jeff Neal and Carlos Prates. Prates is a fun fighter. This guy has had 2 first-round knockouts in each of his last 2 fights. That's where they get you. Jeff Neal has been kind of a perennial contender for the UFC. Has never quite went to that star level, but is a good fighter. We're going to go more than 10.75 fight time minutes. I think they're baiting us with the fact that he's had 2 first-round finishes. This is a step up in competition. Jeff Neal is a tough fighter to go against. We're going to go more on fight time. Carlos Prates, 10.75. Then we're going to go Khamzat Chimaev, Dricus Du Plessis, the main event. Super excited for this one. We're going to go more. We're going to do fight time again. We're going to go more than 12.25 fight time minutes. That means it's going to go 2.5 rounds or more. I think Du Plessis has the ability to go the distance with him. He's going to have the power rounds 4 and 5. Khamzat Chimaev in his last 5 fights has never gone past the 3rd round, but he's fought pretty good competition. But Du Plessis is a step up. He's been in there with the big fighters. He's been there against Strickland. He's been in there against Adesanya. Fighting in Chicago, I think this fight is going to go the distance. And Khamzat, I don't think is going to be able to submit it early. And if he can't submit him early, that's going to play in Du Plessis later on in the fight. We also question Chimaev's gas tank. So more than 12.25.
All right, we got to get out of here. So we're going to skip the recap. We will post the recap at Fletch and Sammy on X. So you can find it there. I'll take a screenshot right now, and I'll post that over on X at Fletch and Sammy so you can find it there. Coming up in hour number 2, Steve Hartman is going to be jumping on the show. Talk some Padres Dodgers with Steve. We'll have the next big 3 coming up in about 5 minutes. We're going to get you ready for this weekend because it's a crazy weekend. Coming up next, San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
The sport's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Padres Dodgers getting going from Los Angeles tonight. Clayton Kershaw will be on the mound for the Dodgers, while it's widely expected Randy Vassegh will be making his return from AAA to the Padres. Dodgers currently minus 180 on the money line. In Friday's preseason action at 4 o'clock, Titans will be in Atlanta taking on the Falcons, and the Chiefs will be in Seattle at 7 taking on the Seahawks. Progressive Insurance says if you're a renter, make sure you're protected. Renter's insurance includes options that cover stolen property, personal injury, and living expenses if your place is damaged. Get a quote for renter's insurance at progressive.com.
Welcome to the Flex Zone.
I'm Ben Fletcher. That's Sammy Long.
No fluff, just facts.
Tarek Skubal going to go more than 8 pitcher strikeouts.
That's absolutely wrong.
Bryce Harper gets on the board at more than 1.5 total bases.
Totally wrong.
Where are we at in society today?
Panda Express had to go back on what they did with the Dodgers early on in the season.
What'd they say?
When the Dodgers win, I could butcher this, but everyone in the greater Los Angeles area got a free Panda Express meal, and they were literally running out of them, so they had to stop the promotion.
Well, the Dodgers are just winning too much. It would be working fine now. These days, they're just getting swept by the Angels every week.
You ain't never lied. You ain't never lied.
Now, live from the San Diego Sports 760 studios, we enter the Flex Zone.
It's hour number 2 here on San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock. John and Jim will take over then. Coming up in about 25 minutes, Steve Hartman will be on the show. Talk some Padres Dodgers with Steve. Talk some NFL with Steve. And then, like Fridays always go, whatever the hell Steve wants to talk about, we'll spend some time on that as well. It is San Diego Sports 760. The Padres do start a 3-game series with the Dodgers tonight up in Los Angeles. And I kind of am trying to get myself in the mode that the Padres should be favorites in this series to win at least 2 out of 3. And that's just not something you usually think when the Padres and the Dodgers are playing against each other, especially in LA. But the fact of the matter is, it would be disappointing if the Padres don't take 2 out of 3 in this series. Since the 4th of July, Padres 23-12, Dodgers 12-21. The Dodgers have been bad since the 4th of July. The Padres are a team that looks like they could compete with just about anyone, maybe outside of the Brewers right now. Should we not be thinking the Padres need to, and it would be disappointing if they don't win 2 out of 3 this weekend against the Dodgers?
Well, it's 100% disappointing if they don't. I mean, I don't know if they should be the favorite considering they haven't shown it yet. Like next weekend, the odds could really change. If the Padres go win a sweep or 2 or 3, I think we could maybe see, certainly in San Diego, them be favorites next weekend. But you have to go show it. Like this is like they have all the makings of a team that is playing better than the Dodgers. They feel they're healthier than the Dodgers right now. They feel deeper, at least in the sense of right now, because of the amount of injuries on the Dodger pitching staff. Like there's really no excuse. So it is interesting. You flip from the Dodgers had all the pressure to not give up the division. They already did that in terms of the Padres are above. If the Padres go hand it back to them over this weekend, I mean, you take all the wind out of the sails because it's like then over the playoff series last year, over the 2 series earlier this year, the Dodgers will have 3 series wins, hoping for 1 next weekend. So yeah, this weekend's going to tell a lot whether the Padres, this is like full steam ahead, this team is legit and a massive threat in the NL, or are they going, it's kind of the same old Padres. So there's a lot of storylines about this weekend.
Now, if you missed Long Shots or if you missed the recap of Long Shots, it is up on our Twitter account at Fletch and Sammy. You can find it there. I just put the screenshot up. And not to bring this back to Vegas, but Sammy and I are going to Vegas next week. And when you're sitting at a blackjack table and you win a couple in a row right away, what do? You take your principal that you sit down with and you put it off to the side, knowing you're not going to touch that. But then you're going chip hunting, right? You are going to get as many as you can before you leave that table to try to get as much profit as possible without touching your initial principal. The Padres need to be doing that right now, except chip hunting is wins over the Dodgers, so they count as 2-game swings. That's what you need to be doing this weekend. This is time to build your cushion. This is time to build your bankroll, because as the season continues, the Dodgers will not continue to be this bad. But right now, you could start to really build a nice little cushion for yourself in the division. And if you're a Padres fan and you're watching this weekend and the Padres aren't jumping at that opportunity, it's time to get a little disappointed, because this is a golden opportunity for them. You're all of a sudden at the point where you have stacked a bunch of chips behind you, and now you are just going after those black chips, whatever they are, whatever it is in your price range. The Padres can really build a little bit of a bankroll here, starting this weekend, going into next week against a bad Giants team, and if we're being honest, against a bad Dodgers team who has been 11 games under 500 since the 4th of July. So over the last month and 11 days, the Dodgers have been a bad baseball team. Can you take advantage of that?
And you can't write the script any better for the Padres in terms of they finally have production at the bottom end of the lineup. Outside of the fact that Michael King gets hurt, Max Muncy all of a sudden Wednesday in the batting cage hurts himself, who has probably been the most consistent Dodger hitter when he's been on the field of the entire season, which is pretty crazy to say given all the names there. With Mookie's struggles and Freddie's struggles, the bullpen has really not been performing well for the Dodgers. There is no excuse. There's no reason why the Padres shouldn't at least go 2-3. If they're in LA, if they were in San Diego, maybe you'd be hunting for a sweep. Obviously, they're hunting for a sweep here. Like Vassegh said, I don't think either team's going to sweep the other team. Hey, maybe on Monday we're talking about that. That feels pretty hard considering how tight these franchises are and how well they know each other. But there is no excuse for them not to win 2 or 3 games this weekend.
All right, we do the big 3 at the top of every hour where Sammy takes us through the top stories in the sports world, keeps us updated on things not going on, not just in this Padres-Dodgers series, but everywhere else in the world of sports. So, Sammy, let's smash that button.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? Coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big 3.
I'll be honest, Sammy, I haven't had a monster in about 2 months, and I had one today. I probably shouldn't have. I'm feeling weird. I'm feeling hiccupy. I don't like it.
You do hiccup a lot on the show.
I do hiccup a lot. It's usually when I have something bubbly.
Like I always assume it's like the stuff that you guys. I walk into their show in the morning one time, this a couple weeks ago, and it's like 8 a.m. and there's Taco Bell everywhere.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Like
this morning we did have homemade banana bread. Maybe that's it. Causing a little indigestion.
Who made banana bread?
Cat. Really good banana bread. It was
good?
vegan and it was delicious. Wish you wouldn't have told me it was vegan.
Why?
I don't know. That just immediately downgrades it in my mind. Maybe that's a me problem.
That's something I could never be as vegan. That's
same.
I couldn't do that.
Where are we going?
All right, we're going to the NFL. Cliff Kingsbury, offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders, says the team can't connect until McLaurin and others return. Said there hasn't been a ton of contact with him. He's been here, but he's been working with trainers. So until he gets back on the grass, that's when we'll start building that back up. Does the Commanders' season hinge on Terry McLaurin getting signed?
Cliff Kingsbury taking a shot at the GM of the Washington Commanders and ownership of the Washington Commanders. The ball's on him, man. I guess when you're still getting paid from the Arizona Cardinals to not be their head coach, you can kind of say whatever you want to say. But good for Cliff Kingsbury. He's absolutely right, by the way. For a second-year quarterback in Jaden Daniels, who sort of took the league by storm last year, there are people, and I can't really argue that much with them, who have Jaden Daniels as a top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now after 1 year of work. He is that special. You're trying to put an arm behind his back going into year 2? That makes no sense to me. You do need to pay Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin knows that. He knows that they cannot go into the season without him. But every second you waste in the preseason, when connections are built, when things start to get strengthened, this should be a time where everyone is looking towards year 2 in Washington saying, oh, this could be really special. Well, if you're going into year 2 without Terry McLaurin, that automatically downgrades you a little bit because you need that outlet for a second-year quarterback to have his most trusted receiver. It's insane to me that this has lasted this long.
Exactly. It does feel like even how good Jane Daniels is, and he's had one of the best rookie seasons in memory. I can't think of a guy who's had a better rookie season in the last 10 years than Jaden Daniels.
As a quarterback, there may not have been one.
Yeah, I mean, two road playoff wins as big dog. They were 4.5-point dogs against the Bucs. They were like 9.5, 10.5-point dogs against the Lions. So Jaden Daniels has the makings of a superstar. Yeah, it does feel like them not getting this deal done. I do understand their side of things and that he's 29, about to be 30, and he wants a 4-year contract. So you could be looking the last 2 years of that and going, he's making $35 million, something like that. That's kind of the negotiating range. He wants 34, 35. So I get that, but this just kind of feels like the defense is not up to snuff. You really don't want to stunt Jaden Daniels' growth, and he still is on a rookie contract. So you feel like you could afford that. Feels like a mistake from the Commanders, and I'm sure it is affecting the offense because it's not like the offense was super talented around them. It was really that connection between Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin, which is why they rocketed up the rankings.
No rookie quarterback has ever won a Super Bowl. 3 of them have made it to championship games. Ben Roethlisberger in 2004, Brock Purdy in 2022, and Jaden Daniels in 2024. So it legitimately might have been the best rookie season for a starting quarterback all year because Ben Roethlisberger had an insane defense. Brock Purdy took over a Ferrari halfway through the year. Jaden Daniels was the reason that they got to the NFC Championship game.
Let's head to baseball. The Miz, the sensational young rookie pitcher for the Brewers, is coming off the IL. after a 12-game winning streak, they're getting one of their best pitchers back, which is unfathomable. Does it really feel like it's the Brewers' NL to lose?
Yeah, they're the top dog right now. In the NBA this year, it was like, who's going to be able to beat OKC? Turns out nobody was. Pacers got close. Tyrese Halliburton's leg gave out, and that was that. But it feels like the Brewers are in that situation right now. Like, it's a young team built the right way. They're very, very similar to that OKC team, actually. Not a lot of recognizable names. In fact, the Miz and Yelich might be the two most recognizable names right now on the Brewers roster, but they're playing amazing baseball right now. It's funny. We get so wrapped up in this Padres-Dodgers thing, just assuming that one of those two teams would be the one to come out of the West. Right now, the favorite has to be the Brewers, and I think second favorite's probably the Phillies.
The Brewers have been the best team, and it's not even close the last couple of months of the season, beating the top competition. And it does feel like maybe it's because it's Milwaukee, maybe because it's a small market, and to that point, there's not a ton of recognizable names. Yelich is the most famous name, but the crazy thing about him is he's a solid player now, but he's not the MVP that he was a few years ago. He's not the best hitter on the team. I mean, Churrio's been fantastic. Yeah, you got the Miz coming up there. The bullpen is really solid with Trevor McGill. It does feel like this team is not getting enough love, and I do understand the thought of that. They haven't really been in the postseason, so you might be a little hesitant to just be like, yeah, they're going to go there where the Dodgers have experience, the Phillies have experience. Hell, even the Padres, not in the World Series, but have a lot of playoff experience where the Brewers don't as much after Pete Alonso hit that big blast in the wild card last year to send them home. But yeah, this team feels lethal. I mean, on paper, they're better than everyone else, and they're beating all the top competition. Now, again, the NL is so stacked that you feel like teams are going to beat up on each other, but having that number one overall seed is lethal. And then for third story, heading back to the NFL, what rookie quarterback are you most excited to see in his second preseason game this weekend?
Shador's not playing, right? That's been confirmed.
Nope.
Jackson Dart is playing?
Yeah, I believe so.
Give me him. I like Jackson Dart. The dude's got some swag. Did you see him flipping off the camera on TikTok?
Dart's cold. When he was at USC and Washington State and Ole Miss, he was a good player.
He talks smack. I actually like the Giants' young roster. I like Brian Dable a lot. The Giants are going to be sneaky this year for me. Give me Jackson Dart for week 2 of the preseason as I'm most excited to watch him play more football.
I'm excited to see, number one overall pick, Cam Ward playing against Michael Penix tonight.
He's so boring to me.
Cam Ward?
I know.
Why?
I don't know.
He's like, I love what he's doing. He's like chirping the media. He said he's like, yeah, we're gonna be a top 10 offense this year. Like he's not. This guy feels like he's gonna be really good. The way he carries himself with Tennessee, like he looks really good in his debut. He hit some deep shots downfield. It was kind of running the offense. It really feels like his show.
Him to Calvin Ridley already feels like a nice little connection.
In Tennessee, there's not like a bunch of stars on that roster. It really feels like his team. You do worry about the fact that Calvin Ridley's a solid receiver, but do they have the weapons around him? Tyjae Spears just got hurt in camp, but he should be back for week 1. I'm excited to see Cam Ward. He feels like the least talked about for number 1 overall pick that we've seen in years, and is very qualified. Like had a very solid career, and people I don't think realize how good he was at Washington State before he transferred to Miami. Maybe because just Washington State, not a lot of people pay attention, but Cam Ward, I think, is going to be a superstar, maybe not in year 1, but really in year 2 or 3.
Part of that has to do with the fact that the Titans are pretty awful. And when Mike Vrabel left, they made a lot of really questionable decisions. Everyone's been shipped out of town. So it's a rebuilding process. Cam Ward, obviously the start of that rebuild. Excited for his career, but this weekend I'm looking forward to seeing Jackson Dart. All right, take a quick break. When we come back, let's get into some NFL action. We got week 2 of the preseason. There's games on TV tonight. Let's talk some NFL before we get Steve Hartman on the phone at 1:30 to talk Padres, Dodgers. That's next. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. Hey, it's Fletch for Prize Picks. Football is almost here, people. We are 19 days away from the start of the professional football season. You need to make sure you have Prize Picks downloaded before that gets here, because Saquon Barkley, Justin Jefferson, and all the stars of football are ready to rock. Are you ready? Well, you will be once you download Prize Picks and you use promo code Fletch. All you got to do is pick more or less on at least 2 players for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. And if you're like, Fletch, what should I do to get that $50 bonus in lineups? Well, you need to play a $5 entry. And here's a good one for you. Michael Page and Jared Cannonier in the fight this weekend, more than 79.5 significant strikes combined. How about Carlos Prates coming up 10 minutes and 75 seconds fight time? That's not right. 10 3/4 of a minute fight time. And Khamzat Chimaev, more than 12.25 minutes fought. That is what you do on Prize Picks. You pick more than or less than on at least 2 players for your shot to win big. And if you got the skills, you can win up to 2,000 times your cash on Prize Picks. It's my favorite daily fantasy sports app because of the promotions, the Taco Tuesdays, the Flex Fridays like we are experiencing today will keep you coming back all season long. Flex Fridays are $20 entries that are fully guaranteed. So even if you don't win, that money's coming back to you in promo funds. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use promo code Fletch. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. San Diego Sports 760. And we all remember that one teacher who made a difference, who believed in us, who challenged us, or who just made learning fun. Now is your chance to say thank you in a big way with iHeartRadio's Thank a Teacher, powered by Donors Choose. Nominate your favorite teacher today at iHeartRadio.com/teachers. If you nominate them, they can win up to $5,000 to stock their classrooms with whatever they need. Today's teacher of the day, Colleen Perez, who teaches at San Diego Virtual School. People told us Colleen's always there for her students. She makes herself available for them at all times. She even tries to help her high schoolers get jobs. Congrats, Colleen. You are in the running to win $5,000 for your classroom. Nominate your favorite teacher now at iHeartRadio.com/careers. We were just talking about the Brewers in that last segment and how they have become the top dog in the National League. How they're probably the top dog in all of baseball right now. Do you know FanGraphs had the Brewers at the beginning of the 2025 season projected at 86 wins?
That's why I got to get those future bets in.
So they were 86-90 was FanGraphs' official prediction for them. They are already at 76 wins. They're 32 games over 500 at this point. Like, this is going to be a 106 win team ish, somewhere in there.
Yeah, we saw that with the Giants a few years ago when they topped the Dodgers for the division. Like, there's always these teams where it's like They come out of nowhere. It's just a solid roster, like 1 through 9. We probably underestimate them coming into the season, considering that they should have beat the Mets. They should have been playing the Phillies in the next round. Alonso came in the 9th and crushed the ball, which actually probably kept Pete Alonso on the Mets when they thought that they were all going to get rid of him. But yeah, this Brewers team is nasty.
It's crazy, man. They're really, really good. All right, NFL, we just got some breaking news actually out of the Los Angeles Rams preseason. What does it say, Sammy?
So per ESPN, Stafford has been dealing with a back injury, who's been out all of camp, hasn't played in the preseason.
Aggravated disc?
Like, he is expected to play week 1, likely available versus the Texans.
Mm-hmm. Do we believe it?
I get like likely available is weird. That's odd to me. Like, I believe he will be there. I don't think he's going to be out for the year. I don't know why Matthew Stafford needs to play in the preseason. This guy's a Super Bowl champion. He's been with, this is pretty much the same offense outside of Devontae Adams, just a plug and play. Kyron Williams is there. Offensive line's good. So I get why not letting him play, but it is for a 37-year-old quarterback to have a disc in his back that's aggravated before they've even started playing. That's pretty alarming for a team that has serious aspirations. As if they're fully healthy, you could make an argument they're the number 1 threat to the Eagles in the NFC.
And Matthew Stafford is still elite as a quarterback, but he was never really healthy at all last season. We saw that towards the end of the year. He pulled it together for one excellent playoff performance, but Matthew Stafford did not look like Matthew Stafford for most of last season. If he's not fully healthy coming into this year, if he has back issues, we all know the drama off the field with his missus, who already wants him retired from football. So Matthew Stafford, just having this out there right now, it always makes me think it's a little bit worse than it actually is with him. And if the Rams don't have him, it's like, all right, well, they're in rebuild now because they need a quarterback. They need one in the draft next year. Personally, Jimmy Garoppolo ain't it, man. I watched that dude. I lived and died by that dude for a while. You are never comfortable with Jimmy Garoppolo as your quarterback, and the Raiders saw that a couple years ago, and I think the Rams will see that this year. It doesn't work.
Who do you think is the number 1, your top contenders to the Eagles in the NFC?
I mean, I'm going to say the Niners, and everyone's going to laugh at me, but I truly
do think the Niners are the number 1 contender to the Eagles.
Look, the Niners' schedule is easy. That is the biggest advantage they have coming into this year. They're missing all the top quarterbacks in football. If they are healthy, the Niners are absolutely a top contender. They have a stacked defense. Once everyone gets healthy on the offensive side, they have a stacked offense too. I do think the Niners are that. Look, I like the Lions a lot. You know about that. I think they lost a lot of their culture with their 2 coordinators leaving. I'm curious to see how they put it together this year. The Commanders were there last year, but do you really trust a second-year quarterback? Do you really trust him if Terry McLaurin's not there? And he looks like he might be headed for a holdout. So there's lots of questions in the NFC. The only question the 49ers actually have right now is, will they be healthy?
I think there's a few more questions than that. But yes.
Really?
Can Brock Purdy play with a less of a supporting cast?
He doesn't have a less of a supporting cast.
Certainly on defense, there's less supporting. Debo ain't there anymore. I mean, there's like, I know
Debo wasn't good last year.
The Niners are a fine team. They are not the number 1 threat to the Eagles. That's asinine. But they're a solid team. I could see them being in the playoffs, considering the schedule.
ChatGPT says they're winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, so AI's taking over. Is that what we're doing now? The Lions have to be on paper the favorite against them. I mean, them or the Rams. If the Rams are healthy, I would go with the Rams. The Rams had an extremely young defense last year that really down the stretch there was excellent. Let's not forget, they held the Eagles in check. The Super Bowl champs who destroyed Kansas City and destroyed Washington, they played them. They were 1 sack away in the 4th quarter from winning that game, and the Rams going to play Washington in the NFC Championship game. The Rams, if Stafford's there, is going to be lethal. The Lions is a major question mark, losing both coordinators. It's going to be a real coaching job for Dan Campbell, but on paper, the defense is going to be much better, and that offense is stacked. Washington, again, is Terry McLaurin there? What's going on with that whole situation? The Eagles do feel like kind of the class of the NFC, even though they did lose on defense. I guess your Niners could check in at like 4 or 5 there. I just personally, I don't believe in Brock Purdy, but people like Fletch do. So maybe he'll prove me wrong this year.
I just don't know what else he has to prove. He made it to a Super Bowl.
Well, you also just panned Jimmy Garoppolo, and he made it to a Super Bowl too with your Niners.
Yeah, but he had a much better defense. That was a whole nother bag of things.
I think we're making excuses now.
Jimmy G had happy feet. Never really trusted him. All right, Steve Hartman is coming up next. Let's get his thoughts on what's going to happen between the Padres and the Dodgers this weekend. I'm sure Steve will be at a couple, if not all of these games coming up. It is San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. Steve Hartman coming up next.
Guys, September 6th at 2 p.m. That is the day you cannot sign up for Circa Million or Circa Survivor past that. So you got to get out to Vegas. You got to go sign up. You have to sign up in Vegas, but you can play from anywhere. Gives you an excuse to plan a summer Vegas trip. You only got a couple weeks left. Provide season-long fun all throughout the NFL season. The best part about it is while you're signing up, you get to relax in the Circa Sportsbook with wall-to-wall TVs outside the pool with a cocktail in your hand, showing off that summer bod you've been working on for the last few months. Now, Circa Million, you pick 5 games against the spread each week. So these are just some picks that I'm looking at week 1. Again, this is your thing. So you do whatever you want. Maybe I'm like in my Chiefs, minus 3.5 against the Chargers in Brazil with no Rashawn Slater there. Broncos favored over the Titans by 8. We think Cam Ward maybe can cover +8 against Bo Nix. Maybe a second year regression. Packers favored by 2 at home versus the Lions. I'm going to take the Lions plus the points there. You know how I feel about the Bills. Feel like they're a little bit overrated this year. Give me the Ravens plus 1.5 in Buffalo for that night game. Cincy minus 5.5 against the Browns. I think that offense is still able to take care of them. But those are just my picks. Do what you want with them. $1,000 to enter. You can get 10 of your friends, go $100 each, or go in the 1,000 yourself. If that sounds exhausting, if you don't have the time to pick 5 games each week against the spread, play Circa Survivor. You pick 1 game each week. Once you burn a team, you can't pick them again. Same $1,000 buy-in. All you got to do is outlast the competition or go 18-0. Win your money now with Circa. This sports sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Padres Dodgers tonight up at the Ravine in Los Angeles. 7:10. Clayton Kershaw will be on the mound for the Dodgers. It was originally scheduled to be Michael King, but he got put on the IL retroactive to the 11th due to right knee inflammation. So it will be likely Randy Vassegh tonight or a starter opening. The Dodgers are currently a minus 180 favorite in tonight's game. But Progressive Insurance, they offer auto, home, and commercial auto insurance, plus a variety of business insurance options to cover your small business needs and more. Visit progressive.com today. Again, that's progressive.com.
San Diego Sports 760, Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2. John and Jim will take over then. And right now, like he does every single Thursday, Steve Hartman joins the show. Hi, Steve. How are you?
Fletch, Sammy, anything going on this weekend? Anything at all?
Sammy apparently is buying a $15 million house in La Jolla, according to David Vassegh. But I do think you're referring to the Padres-Dodgers series, as the Padres have overtaken the Dodgers in the National League West. People are pretty excited down here, Steve, if you can imagine that.
Well, they should be. And, of course, if they've been listening to my weekly appearances with you guys, I sounded the warning and have since day one with the Dodgers. Their bullpen is fried, absolutely torched, fried, skewered. They're done, and they can't hold on to leads. They've been blowing leads game after game after game. Why? Because they have pitched collectively more innings than any other bullpen in baseball. Yes, Dodgers starting pitchers have pitched the least innings, 30 out of 30 in Major League Baseball, and it is caught up with the Dodgers in mid-August. Here's what's going on with the Dodgers right now, right? So you look at the starters, you got Kershaw, you got Snell, you got Glass now this weekend. Yamamoto will be on Monday. Then they'll have Sheehan. Sheehan will be there until Sasaki gets back. And then you got Ohtani. So that would be the plan, assuming Sasaki comes back sooner rather than later, for a six-man rotation for the rest of the year. The problem for the Dodgers is the damage has already been done. So I said this over and over, guys. You know, when the Padres blew through the Dodgers a couple of years ago in the postseason, it was because their bullpen dominated. How did the Dodgers win the World Series last year? Their bullpen dominated. If you go back the last 15 World Series championships, going back to Bochy winning 3 series with the Giants, it's always been about the bullpen. So if your bullpen is not right going in the postseason, you have zero chance of making it to the World Series.
Steve, you laid out why the Dodgers haven't been successful recently. Do you think like there's some real concern about not them falling out of the playoffs, but not even winning a series in the postseason if they're in the wild card?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, right now they're not even the number one wild card. They're a half game behind the Cubs. Now, as far as, you know, they would really have to collapse to not make the postseason. But if you look at it, you got the Mets and you got the Reds. So those out of those 4 teams, 3 are going to make it as wild cards. After that, everyone else is out of it in the National League. So, you know, at some point they got to start winning some games. I know after the Padres series, they get the Rockies, but unless you're playing the Rockies the rest of the year, everything else is a challenge. I mean, think about it. The Dodgers lost all 6 games this year to the Angels. Really? It's one thing to lose 6 games to the Brewers, who, by the way, are still leap years ahead of everyone else. Remember this about the Brewers, guys. Brewers have the highest team batting average in the National League and the lowest team ERA in the National League. That is why the Brewers are dominant right now, and barring massive injuries, they are absolutely on a path to win their first world championship. But that being said, a lot can happen, obviously, over the next 6 weeks. But look, I'm not surprised. I mean, the Dodgers have been playing lousy baseball for well over a month right now. And it's not just the pitching. I mean, they're not getting production out of Mookie Betts. They're not getting a lot of production out of Freddie Freeman. I sounded the warning before the season began. Don't be swayed by Freddie Freeman's incredible World Series. He had a down year last year. He's in his mid-30s. He's on the downside of his career. Mookie is definitely on the downside of his career. You know, Will Smith's been holding it together. Teoscar Hernandez has been inconsistent. Pages, after a hot start, has cooled off dramatically. So the only thing they can count on is Shohei Ohtani, and that is not going to be enough to get him anywhere near the finish line.
Steve Hartman joining us today, like he does every Friday at 1:30. And Steve, let's talk about Shohei Ohtani a little bit. This new real estate fiasco in Hawaii. Now, I don't really know too much about it. I know it's a lawsuit and anybody can sue anyone for anything, but Shohei Ohtani is attached to this. This is the second big thing Shohei has been attached to that hasn't exactly been savory. Are you worried at all that Shohei Ohtani might just be surrounding himself with a bunch of idiots?
I think that's exactly the case. I think, look, Shohei doesn't seem to be concerned at all. When you basically defer a $700 million contract, that pretty much puts you in the mindset of Shohei Ohtani. He's like, yeah, I don't really need the money. I got plenty of money, and defer it. By the way, by the time that the contract is up, that money will have doubled in how much they actually have to pay out. So it's a wise investment. But yeah, I think much like his interpreter, I think there's another situation where he's just trying to focus on baseball right now. He's newly married, and that's all he's really focused on. He's really not concerned about the money, and he's putting people in charge of his money with investments and everything else that are backfiring at him. I'm sure it just absolutely irks him that he has to sit here and have to put up with this crap. But who can you trust? When you're such a target, when you are so huge, he is literally the most famous person in Japan. Like, there is no one even in his proximity. And so he has surrounded himself with people that 100% he cannot trust. And, when it comes to your finances, as we saw, we keep looking back to that interpreter. Like, how could you not know that someone is funneling like $15 million out of your bank account to cover his gambling law? How do you not know that? I could not. I don't care how much money I would have in the bank. I would not be that negligent to just turn my head and say, I'm not really worried about it. Because like you said, your name is attached to it. And now he has to deal with this real estate situation in Hawaii. So, yeah, I just think Ohtani is one of those guys. He's 100% focused on baseball, but he needs to start focusing on some of his personal matters.
Steve, the Brewers won 12 straight games. They just activated their flamethrower Miz off the IL. You picked him to go to the World Series on the show a couple weeks ago. Do you think it's Brewers versus the field, or it's the Brewers to lose?
Again, it is the Brewers versus the field. And what's interesting about the Brewers, guys, Christian Yelich is having a semi-comeback. Obviously, nowhere near those back-to-back years that he had back in, 2018 and 2019 MVP, and then runner-up to Bellinger the following year for MVP. So they don't have like a 30 home run guy. They don't have that. What they have is zero weaknesses. They are steady throughout their lineup right now. Their pitching is, like I said, they lead the National League in team ERA. Starting pitching is solid. Obviously, the bullpen has been performing for them. So it's the balance of the Brewers right now. They don't have any weaknesses. By the way, who's that manager they got? Is he not a familiar name, Fletch?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Yeah, the guy that carries pancakes.
You mean Pat Murphy?
What is that about snacking on pancakes that have been sitting in your pocket? Yeah. What is that?
It's weird, man. Steve Hartman joining us like he does every Friday on San Diego Sports 760 at 1:30. Steve, am I right in assuming you still have your Heisman vote?
I certainly do.
Would you like to give any update on where you sit right now, as we're, a week and a half, 2 weeks away from the big game starting, but about a week away from week 0 in college football? Who is on your watch list for the Heisman Trophy this year?
Well, obviously it's very, very early. And remember this, since I've been voting, which started in 2010, the year Cam Newton won. Was Cam Newton on anybody's radar in 2010? No. RG3 in 2011 preseason? No. Johnny Manziel, who? Almost every Heisman Trophy winner over the last 15 years came out of left field. Last year, Travis Hunter obviously was on a lot of people's radars. Was Joe Burrow on anyone's radar before 20? I could go down the list over and over and over again. So look, Arch Manning stands alone, guys, going into this. So, the odds are so in his favor, and he could absolutely put a wrap on this if Texas beats Ohio State in that opening game. So you got Texas going against the defending national champions. They got to break in a new quarterback. I think Ohio State's overrated. Texas wins. He throws 4 touchdown passes. The Heisman race could be over before it begins. And, of course, no Manning's ever won it. His grandfather, Archie, finished 3rd. His 2 uncles, Peyton was 2nd. Eli was 3rd. No Manning's ever won the Heisman. So, Arizona State's got there's a lot of teams that have quarterbacks that, eventually, like no one had Cam Ward going into last season on the radar. Nobody. And yet, Miami got off to a good start. And, by the end, he was a Heisman finalist. So, I'm not into, when I do my weekly updates on the Heisman, I don't wait. I wait till everyone has played a game. The Heisman is a season award. It's not a career award. So, I don't even like to throw out names early other than the fact that the odds makers are already seemingly handing the award to Arch Manning. Of course, they were doing the same thing with Peyton Manning back in 1997, and then he got overtaken by Charles Woodson. So, it's Arch Manning, especially since Texas opens on against Ohio State in that game. If he plays big and Texas wins big, the Heisman race could be over after literally one game.
Steve, what program or coach in college football has the most pressure on them going into next year?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt it's USC. I mean, Lincoln Riley is a fraud. I've been saying that from the beginning. He was a fraud at Oklahoma. He was the beneficiary of a great program put together by Bob Stoops. He had this cavalcade of great quarterbacks that, by the way, could not win any bowl games there. And then you think of the hot start with Caleb Williams wins the Heisman, and then they get blown out by Utah in the Pac-12 championship game. They have one of the all-time bowl game collapses against Tulane. And the last 2 years, I'll put it this way, Clay Helton never had back-to-back worse records during his run than Lincoln Riley has had the last 2 years. They have good receivers in Lane and Lemon. Mayava is an okay quarterback, not a great quarterback. They bring in Rob Ryan to help out with their defense. SC has got the thing that is just so striking about Lincoln Riley's USC Trojans is how soft they are. I mean, when you think USC football, it's about physical play. That has completely been abandoned under Lincoln Riley. The problem is he's got a $90 million buyout. But I will say this. You saw what happened to Jimbo Fisher, A&M. Think about that huge buyout where they got sick and tired of him. If this season ends up anything like last year, 7-6 overall, 4-5 in the conference, he will be bought out. He will be bye-bye. And SC will turn the page on what was an absolutely horrific hire. Lincoln Riley. He's like a poor man's Cliff Kingsbury. That's exactly what he is. At best, he's a quarterback coach.
Steve, you making your way to Chavez Ravine for any of these games this weekend?
Well, like I said, I have to work. I have to anchor. Now, last Friday, I was actually at Dodger Stadium doing early shots, and I was out there. That was the night of the Max Scherzer, Clayton Kershaw matchup. It was also Kobe Bryant bobblehead night. You're like, Kobe Bryant bobblehead at Dodger Stadium? It was August 8th, number 8. Kobe Bryant, he had a close association with Dodgers. I had to grab one of those and then get out of there. But no, I'll be anchoring, guys. But like I said, it's just unbelievable that here we are in mid-August and the most consistent starter for the Dodgers has been Clayton Kershaw. Clayton Kershaw?
Crazy.
Are you kidding me? This is where the Dodgers are right now. If Kershaw loses tonight, and if the Padres decided on a starting pitcher, guys, for tonight's game,
it looks like it's going to be Randy Vassegh, but I don't think there's been official word as of right now.
Right. So, I mean, look, the Padre pitching hasn't been overwhelming, consistent either, but right now it's in better shape than the Dodgers. But really, it comes down to you got Kershaw tonight, and then Snell has looked okay. Glasnow's looked okay since they came back. But they have to finish it, and they can't go 4 or 5 innings. They got to get 6, 7 innings out of these starting pitching because a lot of these guys, they go 5 innings, they look okay, and then the bullpen is imploded night after night after night. Can you imagine 0-6 against the Angels this year?
Yeah, we had David Vassegh on.
Crazy.
We had Vassegh on a little bit earlier, and I, as I was introducing him, I said, David Vassegh living up in L.A., and now they have a new best baseball team in town. It's the Los Angeles Angels.
Well, let's put it very succinctly. The Dodgers are the Angels' bitch. Okay, That's where they are right now. That's where they are right now.
Sammy didn't even dump you for that, Steve.
Steve doesn't need to get dumped on radio.
All right. Well, Steve's fired if we get in trouble for that one. How about that?
I know I can say that because I've done it before. But the bottom line is that, I mean, if you can't beat the Angels a single game over the course of the season, I'm sorry, DV. I saw him last Friday. You have nothing to stand on. This Dodger team is a freaking embarrassment considering the size of their payroll. The fact that they decided to sit and do nothing at the trade deadline because they said we're good. So, again, and honestly, at this point, I do feel sorry for Dave Roberts because when he has to trot out to the mound in the fourth inning and Yankees starting pitchers again, it's just crazy. I mean, the whole thing with Ohtani, what good is Ohtani as a starting pitcher if the most innings he can go is 4?
Steve,
it doesn't make any sense.
We got to get to commercial break. I love you, pal. We'll talk to you next week. Can't wait to see you again, and all the best to you and the family.
I love you guys.
That's Steve Hartman. Like, he joins us every week at 1:30. Love our chats with Steve. We're going to take a quick break, wrap this thing up. Coming up next, get you ready for John and Jim at San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. Do have to apologize. We didn't really read any text on the show today. If you ever want to talk to the show, 70470, start your message with team. My name is Ben Fletcher. That is Sammy Long. We did get a text in early from the 858 when we were talking about Caleb Williams getting hit in practice by Joey Bosa from the 858 and remembering when Junior Seau leveled Ryan Leaf in practice. That is a great story. It's been told to me a couple times. I might get some details wrong, but essentially Junior Seau was doing some rookie hazing with Ryan Leaf and ended up charging like $2,800 to Ryan Leaf's credit card. And Ryan Leaf went and complained about it to the GM of the team. And so Junior Seau, the next day in practice, Ryan Leaf was wearing the red penny, the no-hit penny for quarterbacks that they wear in training camp. And Junior Seau came ripping around the side and drilled him.
That is a horrifying person to be complaining about when they can literally end your career.
What a rookie mistake.
Complain about a receiver,
one of the hardest hitters in the NFL history, Junior Seau. But that's a great story. One of the good ones about June.
619 said Sammy hasn't had a winner since May. That's due to a lot of that's not fair. I hit in June and July, but you're just hating. But 619, stay with us. We have a UFC parlay that we're gonna hit this weekend.
And the NFL season, we're about to dominate.
Exactly. 615. Sammy, I'm glad someone had the balls to comment on Fletch's burping. This is a real thing for you, Fletch.
I don't know about burping. It's not really burping. It's more like I lose a breath every once in a while.
Fletch, for all the years I've been listening, I just thought you suffered from severe acid reflux and never wanted to talk about it on air. It's actually had me worried about you. Got good to know it's too much bubbly.
It is too much bubbly. It's every time I have a sparkling water or a Monster. I'm sorry. I'll stay away from it.
615 says management must really love you two in high regards because they would only let Big Ray CD and Fletch play royalty-free music. We bring you real music here. Royalty-free music drives me crazy on the radio, so we play the real stuff.
It's just Sammy has to put in an extra 20 minutes of work every day pretty much in order to play royalty-free music.
That's how much we care about the listener.
Non-royalty-free music because it has to be cut out of all the streams.
858, imagine Stafford is hurt all the years and the Rams suck toes. Hashtag LA's.
The Rams are going to suck toes this year. I think that's what that means. All right. Well, that's a good spot for us to end our week, Sammy. So we're out of here. John and Jim are coming up next. You'll get a full recap from what happened last night at Snapdragon Stadium and a full preview of what's going to happen this weekend. Dodgers, Padres. Sammy, when we get back on Monday, what was the final of this series?
2-1 Padres.
I got the same thing. We'll see you on Monday.